From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Naira Ahmed. The premiers of Ontario and Nova Scotia are looking to build allies among U.S. governors in Washington, D.C., as the deadline to avert Donald Trump's tariffs inches closer. Doug Ford and Tim Houston are in town for the National Governors Association winter meeting, where the U.S. president gave a wide-ranging speech but provided no details about his tariff intentions for Canada. Ford says it's hard to identify what Canada can do to avoid the hefty duties from the U.S. president.
No one knows what he wants, including elected officials down here.
While Houston says Canada is doing its part to avoid the hefty duties.
What we can do is, I think, take the president at his word on the things that he's concerned about, like the border, like fentanyl, like the NATO commitment. We can respond to that. And I think as a country we have been. And also just make sure that we continue to educate people as to the impact on Americans of the tariffs with the rising costs and inflation. But, and obviously we'll have an impact in Canada as well.
Trump has pressed pause on a plan to impose 25% tariffs on all Canadian goods until March 4th. Canada has vowed that if the tariffs are implemented, it will hit back with a package of retaliatory levies on billions of dollars worth of American goods. Meanwhile, Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem says U.S. tariffs and Canada's retaliation would hit economic growth while reigniting inflation, although he says the central bank is limited in its ability to mitigate the hit.
We can help the economy adjust. With inflation now back around the 2% target, we are better positioned to contribute to economic stability. However, with a single instrument, our policy interest rate, we can't lean against weaker output and higher inflation at the same time.
Macklem says governments can try to strengthen Canada's economy by improving productivity and breaking down interprovincial trade barriers. Rob Lance is the new Premier of Prince Edward Island.
Today begins a new chapter, one that I embrace with gratitude and a deep sense of responsibility. Standing before you as the 34th Premier of our province is an honor I take very seriously.
Lance takes over from Dennis King, who announced his surprise resignation yesterday after leading the province since 2019. In his resignation announcement, King said the public nature of the job and a steady stream of crises that affected the island had taken a toll. A 5.1 magnitude earthquake has shaken Vancouver, Victoria, and other cities on BC's southwest coast. There was no immediate reports of damage, and officials are monitoring the situation. And Canadians are still rejoicing over Canada's win at the Four Nations Face-Off final last night. That's where Chantal Kreviazuk was loudly booed while performing O Canada before the game against the United States in Boston. The Winnipeg-born singer changed the lyric in All of Us Command to That Only Us Command in protest of Donald Trump's comments about making Canada the 51st state. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, Canada's Rachel Homan and Manitoba's Carrie Einarson will clash in the P.E.I playoff between the top two seeds at the Scotties Tournament of Hearts after winning their first playoff games. Homan was a 10-5 winner of Nova Scotia's Christina Black, and Einarson downed Alberta's Kayla Skarlik 7-5 in qualification round action in Thunder Bay, Ontario. The winner of the P.E.I playoff between Homan and Einarson earns an express ticket to Sunday's final, while the loser drops to the semifinal. The Toronto Raptors return to the NBA's All-Star break tonight with a game against the visiting Miami Heat. Miami has lost 4 straight as it fights for a playoff spot in 8th place in the Eastern Conference. The Raptors have lost 6 of their last 10 and are 13th in the East. And Canada's Deanna Stellato-Dudick and Maxime Deschamps vaulted to a pair of silver medals at the Four Continents Figure Skating Championship in South Korea, while fellow Canadians Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud took bronze. From the Canadian Press, I'm Naira Ahmed.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.